Former Action SA member Bongani Baloyi has now formed his own political venture called Xiluva. He says the party, which promises young people jobs, was formed out of political hopelessness. Baloyi joins us now to talk more about this. Bongani, very good evening to you. Grateful for your time. So many a political party have been formed, especially in the last decade, that speak to the issue of a youth that feels increasingly disenfranchised, unheard and hopeless. Why would yours be any different?
Look, I think in the past 10 years, the only organization that has been formed to attract young people has been the EFF in our view. And I think they have stimulated the young people demographic group, but we still do believe that there's still a big demographic that does not vote within the age groups of 18 to 45. And it's important for us to ensure that there are issues as a demographic group is captured and aspirations really dealt with properly by a party that will be able to represent them and ensure that as we go towards 2024, that when there's negotiations around coalitions, we put at the firm center the issues of this demographic.
Do they not vote, the young people you're speaking to, because they don't believe that the current options before your arrival speak to what they want to see politically? Or have they just lost faith in the power of the vote as a vehicle to bring about change?
Well, we believe that young people believe that they don't have a stake in the democracy of this country. It's partly because they're starting to feel despondent because they are locked out of any advancement and any economic activity in this country. And that despondence will then go into anger and they will make this country governing bill. And that's why you're starting to see more and more young people who are actually now getting on the streets and actually destroying infrastructure and violent protests. And that's something that's not good and not sustainable either. And we believe that because in the market, within the political market, there's a big void. Even just look at the leaders who are leading these political parties as people who are beyond and above their productive years and people who are still employing yesterday's knowledge to deal with today's problems, which is unsustainable. So there is a big outcry for young people to actually see themselves in the leadership and vote for themselves. And this party is an opportunity for young people to appreciate and realize that the time for them is now. And there's only one way to change the socioeconomic situations and conditions of our country. That is directly through politics and voting. So we need to awaken this voting demographic to afford them the opportunity to decide their futures and to entrust their futures on their peers.
Could you not do this by joining any of the other existing political parties? And I ask that because there's been a lot said, especially about you on social media. Some people saying, well, Bongani Baloyi is a good politician. Perhaps he would do well in the ANC.
Many people like to advise Bongani, but there's only one Bongani. And I'm following a conviction and a path which I believe is the best for me to follow. The mere fact that currently now with all the political parties are available, that young people still feel despondent and underrepresented and don't relate to the political organizations currently available, says to me as a rational person that there's a void in the market and that market needs to be filled decisively so. So I'm embarking on that journey. Many people will talk as they should, as they must, as their right to talk. But I'm not on Twitter tweeting and sharing my opinion. I have decided to embark and use my agency and to dare mighty things. Where if we fail and if we do, it's fine. We'll try again because we understand that the stakes are high. We cannot wait any other moment to expect anybody to come and save us. We are the people who are going to save us. And for that reason alone, we'll keep it moving and focus. Now we must do the hard work and prove people wrong through output and delivery. That's what we're going to do. The rest can remain on Twitter and say these funny things and do everything they need to do. But we are focused. We know what we are doing. And we appreciate that at some stage, they will realize that what we are doing is valuable and want to reach critical mass. And that will be a turning point. So it's my job and my primary responsibility to take this party there.
You referenced the EFF as an example of a party formed in the last decade to speak to the needs and political desires of young South Africans. They speak predominantly to politically aware, shall we say, or black youth in particular who've been disadvantaged because of present circumstances and South Africa's political, socio-economic context or history, that is. Will you speak to the same demographic?
You've got young people who are not attracted by militancy. You've got young people who just want to be reasonable and engaged and participate within the democratic constraints of our country. And I really think us offering that and ensuring that there's a party that will be led purely by young people, and these are people roughly between the ages of 18 and 45 upwards, 45. So young people have an opportunity to really vote for themselves, as it were, for the first time. Not vote for elders who have long gone past their productive years, but really vote for themselves and give themselves an opportunity and their peers to really deliver on the aspirations of this generation. Because no one is going to save us. There's no other mechanism aside from politics and voting to change the material conditions of this country.
But to get votes, you need a message, which you seem to have got, but you also need a track record to get you out of the gates, especially if you want to make impressive gains in the early stages. I'm sorry to go back to the example of the EFF. I'm coming back to that because you brought up the example. When it was formed 10 years ago, it could go on the reputation and record of people such as Julius Malema, Floyd Shibambu, who came through the ranks of the ANC Youth League, right? So they had that. Your political success in the main came through your work as mayor of Midvaal. How do you take that and then use it to leverage national progress for your party?
Look, I understand the full limitations of my brand. And that's precisely because this is not about brand, Bongani. It's about building a platform and a political vehicle to fuel the aspirations of young people. That is what I'm doing. And we firmly believe that because we've taken a different route to launching this political party, without any big names, without any people who are working behind, all we have is our time and our energies. And I made that very clear today. And I'm not going to engage within the thought pattern of thinking the negative, my limitations. I'm going to engage possibilities. So for me, as the leader and president of this organization, is to take it to the residents and give them and explain and articulate why this is the appropriate vehicle. And that's what I'm going to do. And I think platforms such as yourself is helping me to bridge that divide and the limitation that I have to grow this political organization and to fuel the aspirations of young people whom I believe are responding to this call. And we're going to see amazing things, because for the first time, here's an organization in which young people who are reasonable and rational and young people who want to work within the limitations of the law and to protect the infrastructure of this country and not to take out their resentment or frustrations on the infrastructure of the country. That is a different path. And these are young people.
Bongani, have we lost him? I don't think load shedding starts after 7 o'clock. It usually starts on an even number, but we've lost Bongani Baloyi. Power outage there at his house. Don't know what the circumstances are, just as we were trying to get to the root of the founding of his new party, Xiluva, launched today. I'm hearing someone say he's back. Is he? Okay, he's just gone offline. Never mind.